In nature, there's one thing that is clear. You have to do whatever it takes to survive. And over thousands of years of evolution, animals have developed incredible strategies to achieve this, from the wildest aggressiveness or teamwork to impenetrable armor or simply not letting themselves be seen. But in today's video, we're going to talk about the art of deception. It is one of the most astonishing tactics, mimicry. So come on, let's go over some of the masters of extreme disguise in nature. Although, well, we may not be referring exactly to this type of disguise, you will get it. Mimicry occurs when a living being imitates the appearance or behavior of another being or of its environment to obtain a survival advantage. Careful. It is important not to confuse it with camouflage because they are different things. Camouflage seeks to disappear in its environment, while mimicry, what it does is deceive in order to be identified incorrectly. But to understand it well, let's talk about the triad of mimicry. And for this phenomenon to evolve and be maintained in nature, three protagonists are needed that constantly interact with each other. First, we have the model. It is the organism that possesses the original warning signal, such as, for example, an animal with bright colors or specific patterns. This visual warning is called aposematism and has a very specific objective: to educate any possible predator so that it stays well away. Basically, it is directly saying to it, "Look at me well, it is not convenient for you to get close because I am dangerous." And it is true because if a predator tries to eat it, it will suffer the consequences. They can be toxic organisms, venomous, or that simply are not at all pleasant to the taste. Then we have the imitator, which is the imposter. It is the organism that imitates the warning signal of the model, without it being mandatory that they also have the chemical or physical defenses of this one. Its objective is to try to have the best disguise to resemble the model as much as possible, and thus try to deceive predators. And lastly, we have the receiver of the signal. Come on. The deceived one is normally a predator, and it is a fundamental piece because it is the one who makes the decision. That is, the one who selects if the disguise is good enough. There are different types of mimicry, and one of the main ones is Batesian mimicry. It occurs when a harmless species imitates the warning signal of a dangerous model to avoid being attacked by a common predator. A very studied example is that of the hoverflies that imitate the pattern of wasps and bees so that birds think that they possess a stinger. Even in some cases, they also imitate their flight behavior. And by the way, something super curious is that the model and the mimic do not have to live in the same territory, and an example of this is in the United States with the very venomous eastern coral snake and its mimic, the harmless scarlet king snake. In this map, it is seen how the mimic is in zones represented in green color, where the eastern coral species is not found. But how is this possible? Well, it turns out that there are predators that do not need, for example, to be bitten by a snake to know that it is not a good idea to get close to it. This is called innate avoidance, and it is a matter of genetics. Imagine this. During thousands of years, there were ancestors of current predators that had a genetic mutation that made them cautious in the face of bright colors. And these survived more than the brave ones that died poisoned. This caution was transmitted from parents to children, so that now they flee from patterns of red and yellow rings, even if they have been raised in captivity and have never seen a snake. There are also other options, such as that predators are migratory. That is, that they move from one area to another and have the lesson learned from past experiences. And look at these caterpillars, because they also have astonishing mimicry. For example, the butterflies, Papilio, Troilus, when they are caterpillars, generate a pattern that imitates false giant eyes on their thorax. Another very extreme example is the moth Hemeroplan estropolymus. And yes, look at its caterpillar shape. When it feels threatened, it inflates its body to create the shape of a triangular snake head typical of vipers. Its details, very realistic, are crazy. And if you thought you had seen everything, get ready for the strategy known as masquerade. Here, the thing is to resemble an inanimate and uninteresting object like fresh bird droppings. It makes sense because, let's be honest, eating poop is not usually the most appetizing thing. But on occasions, we also have to be experts in mimicry, because in the digital world, we also have predators. We are referring to trackers. Hackers are companies that want to sneak into our smartphone or computer to steal our personal data, browsing habits, passwords, etc. So if we want to browse the web safely, on occasions, we need our own strategy of concealment and mimicry. And that is where the sponsor of today's video comes in, NordVPN. It is the fastest VPN on the planet, which also guarantees that your connection is secure because it hides your IP address and encrypts your data to keep you safe from phishing, scams, and malware. This way you stop being an easy prey and you become an indecipherable signal. Do you want to use Wi-Fi from a cafe without fear of being spied on? Well, there is no problem. NordVPN makes it possible. In addition, if you travel abroad, it can also make your connection imitate being in your own country. So you will be able to enjoy your streaming platforms or any other service without problems. And what do you say about when you want to buy something on the internet and you're not very sure if it is a scam? Conventional VPNs do not protect you from fake web stores, but the Pro Threat protection of Norvan does do it. Simply activate it on your device and it will warn you if you are about to mess up when trying to buy something on an unsafe site. By the way, NordVPN has 24/7 customer support to help you whenever you need it, and a 30-day money-back guarantee for all users. And the best for the end, one account protects up to 10 devices, so use the link that we leave you in the description to obtain a discount. And now, yes, we continue with a couple of examples that are going to leave you crazy. What could be extreme Bactesian mimicry of tropical birds? Look at the chick of the plaintive ash-colored one. It has a bright orange color and modified feathers. And the reason, well, that it imitates large and hairy caterpillars of the family Megalopygidae, known for their high toxicity and irritating hairs that can be lethal, even for humans. As you can see, this appearance is drastically different from the dull gray plumage of the adults. Recently, a similar behavior has been discovered in Panama in the white nuki hummingbird. The newly born chicks are covered by a large amount of down that gives them an appearance similar to different larvae of the area. Not only that, the most astonishing thing is that scientists believe that when they detect a threat, they imitate the behavior of caterpillars by moving the head slowly. Like, for example, when this wasp approaches the nest. And now we move on to the other main type of mimicry, Müllerian mimicry, which occurs when two or more dangerous species have a similar warning signal. An example are the vibrant color patterns of the wings of tropical butterflies of the genus Heliconius. These species are toxic, they taste very bad, and benefit from resembling each other. By sharing a similar design, birds only have to learn to avoid a single pattern instead of several. There's even egg mimicry, where the quintessential specimen is the common cuckoo. The cuckoo lays eggs that imitate the appearance of those of another bird to ensure that its offspring is raised by other parents. Look at the difference in size between a cuckoo chick and this deceived reed warbler. And what do you say about aggressive mimicry? It is the dark side of the coin, the art of deception to attack. And it is that it involves the use of deceptive signals to facilitate the capture of prey. A very cool case of this type of mimicry are the mantises that imitate flowers like the orchid mantis. These insects have taken mimicry to an artistic level. They not only hide among the flowers, they are almost the flower itself. And when their prey launch themselves towards it thinking that they will find nectar, they will end up being its lunch. There are also animals where the predator pretends to be a prey to bring its own dinner, such as, for example, the alligator snapping turtle. It has an appendage on the tongue that looks like a red and juicy worm. It stays motionless with its mouth open, moving only its worm, and when a fish tries to bite the bait, well, you can imagine what happens. And, well, the spider-tailed horned viper seems taken from a science fiction movie. This venomous snake remains camouflaged completely motionless, while it moves only the tip of its tail, which, at first glance, is the same as a spider. The movement attracts the attention of its prey, mainly birds, which fall into a deadly trap. Until now, we have talked mainly about types of visual mimicry, although there can also be chemical mimicry when olfactory signals are used to deceive. Here, what matters is not your appearance, but what you smell like. An example is the bolas spider. Instead of weaving a web, it produces a mixture of pheromones that imitate exactly the smell of the females of certain species of moths. The male moths, searching for a partner, fly directly towards the spider that captures them with a ball of sticky silk. Vocal mimicry also does not deceive the eyes, but the ears. And here, the kings are the drongos. Let's give the example of the fork-tailed drongo, the most professional swindler of the African savanna. This bird applies a master strategy. First, it earns the trust of its neighbors by launching real alarms when it sees a real danger. But as soon as it sees that another animal catches a juicy prey, the drongo launches a false alarm. So the deceived animal gets scared, drops the food, and flees, leaving the banquet free. The most incredible thing is that it does not always use the same call so that they do not catch its trick. It imitates perfectly the danger calls of other species. By varying the voices, it avoids its victims getting used to its lies, keeping the deception always effective. As you have seen, mimicry is much more than a simple disguise. It is a biological war of deceptions, thefts, and false identities. Which of all these deceptions seemed most impressive to you? We read you in the comments. And if you want a second part, do not forget to like and share the video.